And welcome back. Well, our next guest grew up in the rural Mississippi during the 60s and 70s during the height of the civil rights and women's movements. Janice Ellis became an executive for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in America, opened her own marketing firm, and even ran for mayor of Kansas City.
I love it. Despite all that and overcoming many challenges, she says women continue to face the plexiglass ceiling. We are super happy to welcome Janice to the Yellow Couch this morning. She got her PhD from the University of Wisconsin and spent 12 years living in Milwaukee, right?
That's correct.
12 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Her new memoir is called From Liberty to Magnolia, In Search of the American Dream. It's wonderful to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Having me. Thank
So
you.
You grew up in rural southern Mississippi during the height of the civil rights movement in
Yes.
the 60s. Your family had crosses burned in their front yard, right?
Yes. Yes, my dad was a member of the NAACP and was registering black people to vote. And the Klan burned crosses on our lawn 3 times, and at the church nearby where the men in the community organized those meetings.
I've seen it. I worked in Texas, a small town in Texas. It was my first job as a reporter, and the KKK was still very active and burned crosses in people's front yards.
And this was what year?
And this was in the 90s.
Oh, sure, yes, and in the 70s, 60s and 70s, I helped to integrate Millsaps College, which is a white school in Jackson, Mississippi, and the Klan circled our dorm there.
Did you live in fear?
Oh, back then, sure. I mean, you know, I had a classmate in high school whose father was murdered by a state legislator who was never brought to justice because he actually headed the voter registration drive. And so, yes, and when crosses were burned on my dad's lawn, of course, my mom would get my brothers up at night to meet him at the road so no harm would come to him. Wow. So yes, it was traumatic at times.
Yeah.
Scary. How do you think that as you've kind of moved forward in life and done all of these different things that we'll kind of go through, how do you think those experiences have affected you at this point in life?
Well, I think it motivated me, quite honestly. I think the message of my book is a teaching and learning tool for minorities and women to say that no matter how difficult it is, no matter how fearful it might be, you persevere. And so that's what I've done in my life, and I've laid my life out as an example and included a study guide for self-reflection and community forums, because we still have a long way to go.
Yeah. How do you explain the plexiglass ceiling? Because I think one of the things you really decipher between is the fact it's not a glass ceiling. And what's the difference between glass and plexiglass? You can think about that, and you have a great explanation.
Yes, glass you can break relatively easily. Plexiglass, you can hit it with a hammer. You can do all kinds of things. Shatter, maybe, but you will not. It's very hard to penetrate. And I think I've seen that in my career. For example, you know, I worked for a large pharmaceutical company, negotiated a $70 million contract with the largest healthcare organization, started as a director, and every time there was a vacancy in our department, someone came in and I had to train them. I was never promoted, irrespective of making the top evaluation outstanding every quarter, every year, for 6 years.
You're trusted to make those big decisions,
yes,
but you're not given any benefit to being that valuable.
Exactly.
No. And you know, I say in my book the importance of preparation. I chose to go to some of the best schools in this country, earn 2 masters and a PhD, but in many instances, that did not matter.
Right.
Interesting. One of the things you've said is women have faced and continue to face the plexiglass ceiling. We were just talking about it. They cede the prize, play by the rules, but inevitably are repelled by that impenetrable plexiglass ceiling. And for women and blacks in America, it is not the glass ceiling that they confront. For blacks, it is a brick wall, a portion of which may or may not crumble. For women and blacks, it is the plexiglass ceiling in corporate America that you may be able to scratch or crack, but finding a way to shatter it remains elusive, even today.
Even today, yes. I mean, look at the Fortune 500 companies. There are no black women. There was one, and there may be 23 women in CEO positions. We have a long way to go. And so I say to women and to minorities and to blacks, we just have to continue. We have to persevere.
Do you think things are starting to change?
Oh, we've come a long way, but you know, a few of us make it. I think what's painful for me is that I still look across America and I look at schools where minorities are still at a disadvantage in terms of achieving education. I look at the workplace and, you know, unemployment is still high, disproportionately. So I think America must face its history. It's not a blame game. It's not a woe is me game, but we can't fix it unless we face it.
Yeah, it's a recognition. It's
a
an
recognition.
understanding.
Yes.
What about in your personal life? Your first husband is the father of your two, you have two sons,
Yes.
was abusive.
Yes.
After that divorce, you were engaged to another man
Yes.
who was abusive.
Yes.
I think women sometimes process that as it's a weakness because they stay sometimes when they know that they maybe shouldn't.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, not to say anything about the profession, but they were both professionals. They were lawyers. And I thought I could fix it. You know, I thought if I would stay, I could fix it. You cannot fix it. And so my message to women is that don't put up with it for as long as perhaps I did. I mean, I wanted to stay in my first marriage, of course, for my sons, but I stayed there 8 years, and that still did not fix it. So my message to women is don't accept harassment or abuse at any level. I was subjected to harassment in my employment, but I said no. I've worked hard. I've earned my degrees. Promote me for that and not for compromising my values.
And that happened when you worked for the mayor.
Well, the mayor, the pharmaceutical industry. I've seen sexual harassment in every job I've held, basically.
What do you say to people? Why weren't you the first woman and the first black to be mayor of Milwaukee?
Well, the times. You know, when I worked for the mayor, it was in the 70s and 80s. And he asked me to develop a budgeting system for the city, which I did, gained national and international recognition. U.S. Conference of Mayors, National League of Cities adopted it, took it to Bonn, Germany, presented it, came back, the budget director retired. The mayor calls me in, he said, "Kiddo, I know you could do this job with your eyes closed, but if I put a black woman over the purse strings of the city of Milwaukee, the South Side would not vote for me, and blacks will not vote at all." And he offered me a different position, which I told him, no, I know the budget, and that's what I will.
Did you hold any ill will towards those decisions, or did you feel bad for him that he felt that he couldn't make a change and a difference when he believed in your intelligence and your skill?
Yes, you know, and I say to this day, and I talked to him maybe 6 months before he died, it was one of the best jobs I've had to prepare me for my career. And it was a sign of the times, you know, and so I say in my book, there is no place for bitterness. There is no, you know, it's a waste of time. And so you move on. I learned from that. I learned a lot from the mayor. And so I took that to my next step.
Good for you. I heard you love worms.
Oh gosh.
She hates him, but you love
I
books.
did hear, now through those bad relationships, you do love Frank. Is Frank your current husband?
Yes, yes, he is. He's
How many years have you been together?
30 plus. He's wonderful. He restored my faith in men.
I love that.
Oh,
yes.
it's so sweet.
Yes.
He tried to woo you by inviting you to a Super Bowl, right? Is that true?
The one Molly wishes she could be at,
And you know
right?
what?
Exactly.
And to this day, I thought, you probably made the wrong decision.
Was it 85? What year was it?
It was 86.
Oh,
And you know,
86. 86 bears.
what was
85
so
bears.
extraordinary is that we had been talking and dating for like 3 or 4 months. And I said to him, I don't really know you, so I can't go to the Super Bowl. And then later his mom said to me, you know, Frank told me that any woman who turns him down on the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl, he's going to marry that woman. Yes.
Hey, Frank.
Frank, you gotta just step over.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
step over so people
Just
can
over
see
here.
you. Just right. Yeah.
People are gonna want to see you.
Yeah, just have a seat right there on the couch so people can check you out.
He's like, I got my coat on. People are gonna want to see
See
you.
you. So great. Good for you. You married a wonderful woman.
Oh, he's been just
Paul wasn't over there.
yes,
That's
tremendously,
why. Now give a
yes,
wave.
yes,
There's
tremendously
Frank.
supportive.
Thank you for doing
Unbelievable. He's been my rock, my earthly rock.
That's
Yes.
wonderful.
that. You
Thank
two
you so
are
much.
adorable. Thank you for sharing your story
thank
and
you.
writing your wonderful book.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much
so
for
nice
having
to
me.
meet
Oh,
you.
you're wonderful.
Thanks. Yes,
Thank
come
you.
back anytime
Thank you.
you want to.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
All right, thank you, Frank, too.
And here's the book again. Yeah, good. He's a good sport. I like that, Janice. All right, the book again is From Liberty to Magnolia: In Search of the American Dream. And you can find out more about Janice by going to her website. It does have her middle initial in it. It's Janice, JaniceEllis.com.
Yes.
Got it.
Is the website.
Yes. Oh, thank
Pleasure.
you so much. You were so wonderful.
You're wonderful
for
too.
1
Thank
second.
you. Yeah,
Thank
stay
you.
seated right
Okay.
there. You're good.
All right.